Welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano. You'll see that we're on the road finally. Today I wanted to discuss getting on the board. So a lot of us have issues, and the reason we have issues is because we have no control. So if you are having problems, or not problems, but maybe you just have a board that's got a lot of control in the neighborhood. So my suggestion to you and to everyone, first of all, if you're in an HOA or a condo association, you want to be on the board. I know that being on the board comes with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things that you have to do. You have to go to meetings and you have to deal with homeowners. And you have to do certain things, but this is your biggest investment that you ever make in your life. This is your home. This is your money. You are turning your investment over to a corporation to run. You're choosing 5 or 6 people in your neighborhood to take your money and spend it the way they see fit. So being on the board gives you the chance to make those decisions and to make sure that the property managers and the attorneys aren't taking advantage of your money. So, and the reason I say the property managers, you got to be really key with those property managers. The property managers try to keep everything with them. They want to be the one that handles most of the property dealings. Now, the reason they want to do that is because anything they do that's extra, they get to charge you an extra fee. I always suggest to homeowners, get the property management's copy of their contracts. And you have the right to every contract of the HOA. So get a copy of the property manager's contract, and you'll notice that if he has to spend an extra hour at the HOA meetings, or if he has to deal with an extra homeowner, or if he was only supposed to answer 50 emails and he answered 60 emails, there's a charge to every one of those things. Then all the invoices, every piece of paper that your property uses, front and back. And you'll notice when you get an invoice or a notice from the property management company, they always make everything on 2 separate pieces of paper. They don't use front and back because they're charging you an upcharge for every piece of paper they use. So you want to make sure that you know where the money is being spent. And the only way you're going to know where that money is being spent is by being on the board. Well, how do you get on the board? Well, you don't get on the board by attacking the board when you first move there. So when I first started there, when I realized that the board was the way they were, not knowing anything about HOA when I moved in, when I was having problems with the board, when they started coming after us, if I would have tried to get on the board instead of fighting the fines and tried to do it a different way, if I knew what I knew then, what I know now, I would have been so much smarter, and I would have gotten on the board, and I would have dealt with things differently. Because once you're on the board, according to my bylaws, once a homeowner is voted on the board by the people, the board cannot vote them out. Only the people can. So once I was on that board, they couldn't have gotten rid of me unless the people voted me out. So, and then I could have helped the people from within. Being off the board, now, I, on the other hand, had a lot of control because being off the board, where I had gotten so many people on my side, the board couldn't do anything to the people anymore because there were so many of us. But that took a long, long time, and we still didn't have any rights, and it was still very rough. So I always suggest get on the board. Find out who your board members are, see what openings there are, be a part of it, get on the board. Find out what financials are being spent, where they're being spent, how they're being spent, where can you cut the budget. Try to get the community involved. If the community is communicating, you'll find that you'll get more participation. When I went out and met the community, and I did go door to door and hand out my information and talk to the community and invite them over. I invited everybody to the cabana. I provided drinks, beer and wine, and had an open house, and the community came, and I had everybody. I mean, so many friends in that community. So we were were talking about, so many things that we wanted for the community to happen, and the board wasn't listening to the community at this point. So if the board would have listened to us, we would have had an amazing community because everybody was helping out. We were picking up trash. We were making sure the garbage dumpsters were taken care of. We were all participating and wanting to participate, wanting to do welcome packets and wanting to really be a part of everything. But what we found out was the property managers and the board didn't want anybody talking. They didn't want us to communicate. Once homeowners are communicating, we can help each other understand where our money is being spent. And what we found out is what our money was being spent on really wasn't what we thought it was being spent on. We found out that our money was being spent on fining people and foreclosing on people. It was being spent on attorneys and property managers to deny our rights. When you're spending $38,000 on attorneys, that's your money. We were only $13,000 past due on assessments. So there was only $13,000 worth of past due assessments, and we had $38,000 worth of attorney fees. We should have just paid for the past due people that were past due. Why would we pay for $38,000 in attorney fees? It didn't make any sense. And what we found out, those $13,000 in assessments were fines. They weren't even legal assessments. So you've got to make sure that you know what your board is doing. And the only way to do that is to get on the board and be a part of it. And if you can't get on the board, then there's an issue there too. So you got to know what's going on in your community. You know what I believe. This is what I believe. So if you're going to be a part of an HOA and join that community, you have to be willing to be on the board. That is number one. So if you want to be a part of an HOA, which I always tell you, you do not want to be a part of it, that is number one. Get on there, find the financials, find out what the property manager's duties are, find out what the attorneys have been doing, what the attorneys have been advising, and then ask for all the documents of the HOA. My HOA had 18 boxes at the time, and I think me and the other homeowner are the only other people that have ever seen those boxes, the 18 boxes. And when I opened those boxes, there was one box that was full of liens and foreclosures. There was one box that had just the board president and the attorney's client privilege that was just horrible, mean things, and back and forth emails about her telling people how horrible they were as neighbors, and it's just ugly things. So if you could see those things before you moved into that community, you wouldn't move into that community. And I advise every homeowner, before you buy into an HOA, ask for the boxes. Ask for the history of the HOA. If they deny you that history, you probably don't want to move in there. And most of them will deny you that history. So that tells you a lot. So that's my advice for today, and I'll see you on the... Hi guys, I want to add a couple things. My husband and I were just chatting, and he brought up a really good point. You know, everybody's declaration, CC&Rs, declaration, bylaws, and rules and regulations are different. So you can't always define what my bylaws and declaration and rules say to yours. So I have seen rules and regulations, and that the declaration actually says the board has the right to be selective. They can have selective enforcement. I was reading the neighbor's declaration one day, and it said exactly that. The board can be selective. My declaration says the board couldn't be selective. They had to be fair and equal, for all. Our declaration actually said they had to follow the Constitution of Washington State and the U.S. Constitution. So them violating my constitutional rights was in the declaration of ours. So you have to really know what your declaration and bylaws say, because you never know. They may have the right to deny your rights. Arizona and Washington State are there's only like 2 or 3 states that you can't sign away your constitutional rights, and those are it. Every other state, you can sign away your constitutional rights. And if you sign into an HOA, you are signing those rights away. So understand those. And every state has a different set of condo laws and HOA laws. And the condo and HOA laws in each state sometimes are different. In Washington State, the HOA laws and the condo laws are different, and then the new 6490 laws cover a little bit of both and some of all. So you have to know all the laws, and you have to know that prior to purchase, and they don't tell you you have to know that. So there's just another thing that my husband brought up, and I think it's a really good point. All right, see you later.